Hello everybody and welcome back to another Logan Blackman Show YouTube video. Hope you all have had a fantastic week since the last time we have spoken to each other. And ladies and gentlemen, I am in a fantastic mood ready to preview this upcoming fixture for the United States men's national team as they are coming off an insane 4-1 victory against Paraguay in Los Angeles. One of the best games I've ever watched as a United States men's national team fan. I still can't believe what I watched last Friday, and I hope we see similar performance level in this upcoming game this Friday. But we'll get into all of that and so much more. But first, goes over to the housekeeping items. Let's go down in the description below. Check out all the different links to the social media accounts, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Check them all down in the description, as well as the podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You can also check out the LoganBlackmanShow.com. We have blog posts, links to the podcast on there as well. And also, most importantly, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Here's the numbers again for the subscriber count for who's not subscribed, who is subscribed, who's reading the channel, whatever. Trying to get to 200 subscribers by the 4th of July or the end of the World Cup, whichever one you prefer. And if you like the video already, give it a thumbs up. But if you're not a trusting individual, I don't blame you. Wait till the very end, and I will remind you to give it a like. But if you still didn't like it at that point in time, leave a comment down below on why you feel the way you do. But if you did like it as well, also leave a comment down below at the end of the video what you thought about the United States performance, what your expectations are for this game against Australia. If you're Australian, what you thought about their performance against Turkey, what your expectations are. Let me know down in the comment section below. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, again, it was an absolutely insane night watching the United States against Paraguay. I went into the game thinking the United States was going to win. I had the expectation that the United States was going to win. I think I said 2-1 in the preview. I said goals from Christian Pulisic and Folarin Balogun. And ladies and gentlemen, I got so much more than what I bargained for. The United States, for the first time in what seems like forever, and I could say in over a decade, because the last World Cup the United States in, we never saw them on the front foot. Not against Wales, not against England, not against Iran, not against the Netherlands. Never saw the United States on the front foot. And the first game of the 2026 World Cup on home soil in Los Angeles against Paraguay, a team who didn't finish great in World Cup qualifying for CONMEBOL, finishing again last in the teams that automatically qualify for the World Cup, but they were finishing strong to that point. They were a strong defensive unit. That's what they all said. And the United States just absolutely blitzed them. There was nothing that Paraguay could have done defensively that would have stopped the United States in this game. And it was just perfect. Christian Pulisic running at defenders with the utmost confidence. The Pentagon that the United States ran with Tillman and Tyler Adams in the midfield spots, with Weston McKennie, Christian Pulisic, and Folarin Balogun at the tip of the Pentagon, was just so damn hard for Paraguay to stop and try to figure out a way to nullify whatever the United States was running at them. Because Christian Pulisic was just attacking them nonstop. You look at the first goal, he splits two defenders on the way, dishes it off to Weston McKennie, tries to play it across to Folarin Balogun, played in the back of the net in the 7th minute. Right away, it's done. And the United States is so confident. They're playing on home soil. Christian Pulisic is showing emotion that we've all been crying out to see, which we saw in the friendlies against Senegal. We saw it in the friendly against Germany as well. Like, we need to see that emotion from Christian Pulisic. And if he plays like that, like he did on that lead up to that goal, then he is dangerous. And that's the Christian Pulisic we needed going into this World Cup. And to see that, and though it was only for 45 minutes, he ended up coming off at halftime due to a calf injury or calf tightness or whatever. Some precautionary stuff. We'll go over what his future looks like in this game against Australia as well. But that ability to just attack the defense, they just didn't know what to do. And you see like Weston McKennie slotting over, you see Pulisic slotting over, Balogun's floating across, Tillman and Weston McKennie and Adams and Dest cutting inside as well. They were so fluid. It was like, I'm obviously I'm exaggerating a little bit here, but it was like watching PSG with the fluidity in the attack, which is something we've not really seen from the United States under Mauricio Pochettino or any manager for that matter. So was this like the grand awakening for the United States? Was that, Mauricio Pochettino is not going to show his hand in any game leading up to the World Cup? When we saw them lose to Panama in the Nations League, no, that's not the United States. He was gearing up for this exact moment so they could play Paraguay off the field. And then you get Folarin Balogun, first goal of the game for him. Christian Pulisic driving down that left channel again, and he just plays it on the ground to a wide open Folarin Balogun who has acres of space to finish, and you get a striker's finish from him. Just a nice easy pass in the back of the net. And then the second goal for Folarin Balogun. Well, I guess he had a goal first. He did score a goal, got ruled off for offsides. Christian Pulisic was offsides on the build-up. He got his goal. It was a lot similar to that of the Senegal game where you saw the ball going to the back of the net. It's like, man, that was a great build-up play there. But then he scores right after that. You saw that again against Senegal. Balogun scores, gets ruled offsides. A few minutes later, gets his goal on the stroke of halftime, gets a ball played into him, and he cuts back on his left foot, places it top bins, left foot. You could not ask for a better finish from your striker than that. And that's the quality that the United States has needed from that position, and Folarin Balogun just brings that in bunches. It was like his coming out party. Like, we knew how talented Folarin Balogun was, but the performances we've seen from him from the national team have kind of been like this. You haven't really seen the performances from him on the biggest stages for the United States, but this game is one where you could look at and go, okay, Folarin Balogun's going to be one of the guys after this tournament that's going to get a massive move somewhere else. Not saying Monaco's not a big club, but coming off a season where you win club MVP, and then you score 2 goals in the World Cup in the opening game. You are now 5th all-time in United States goal-scoring charts. You're the first American to score multiple goals in a World Cup game since 1930. Like, this is such an insane statistic for Folarin Balogun, and that's the stuff we love to see. And Christian Pulisic, his 3rd assist at a World Cup, which is now more than Cristiano Ronaldo, who has 2. So that's just all the stuff that took place in this game. And that first half alone was like, what did I just watch? I don't remember. I had some high expectations going into this World Cup. I mean, I think I had the United States going all the way to the quarterfinals in this World Cup when I was doing my World Cup predictions. Like, I had high expectations, but I didn't expect to see a performance like that in the first half. They scored 3 goals in the first half. Comparatively to 2022, they scored 3 goals through 4 games. You got a goal against Wales, you got a goal against Iran, and the goal against the Dutch. Those are the only 3 goals you scored, and you did that in one half. I'm not going to sit here and go like, oh, I told you, I knew that the United States was cooking something prior to this World Cup, and I understood why there were some people out there that were a little bit hesitant going into this World Cup, but to sit there and go the United States wasn't good enough to win their group, and there you mostly saw that from people on the other side of the pond saying, oh, this United States team's not that great, they're going to get found out in this tournament. And you go on and you do that in the first half, it just adds more momentum for the rest of the World Cup. And then obviously again, Christian Pulisic comes off at halftime due to the calf injury. Sebastian Berhalter goes in the midfield. Malik Tillman gets pushed up into the attacking midfield spots with Weston McKennie. And then you're kind of sitting back a little bit. I don't want to say they fell asleep, but they were a lot less aggressive than they were in the first half, which, I mean, it's 3-0. I'm not sitting here saying you need to keep going on the attack, but you don't need to sit back completely defensive as well. And they got found out eventually. Paraguay from a free kick. Long ball played into the box, and Mauricio wide open, just by himself. He had both angles to close down on Matt Freese's net. Like, he had both corners to work with. He took the far one, slots it past him, and Matt Freese, this is what I talked about in the Germany game that's kind of frustrating with him, is that he doesn't close things down. He just stands on his line the entire time and just hopes that the ball just hits him. Like, there's out of all the things I could say about this United States performance, that's the one thing that I can look at and go, okay, I'm still not the most confident in Matt Freese going into this, but he wasn't really tested that much in this game. But that goal kind of just highlighted again what I talked about in the preview for this game, is that he needs to be more aggressive and close the angle down, because if he closes the angle down, maybe he gets a save, maybe Mauricio pushes off target, but because he just stood still, he had both corners of the goal to work with, and he just chose the one that he felt the most comfortable with and slotted it past Matt Freese and net. But again, you go down to 3-1, and then you see a little bit of a spark light up for the United States. You see some more attacks in there. Ricardo Pepi comes on, Weston McKennie stays aggressive, Malik Tillman has a couple shots in there, probably should have done better with a couple of his chances that he had. Timothy Weah has a shot that goes right over the bar, got saved, but it got ruled out for a goal kick rather than a corner. That didn't matter at the end of the day, but the United States, the creme de la creme of what this game was the Giovanni Reyna goal. So he comes on in the 82nd or 83rd minute, I can't remember exactly. He gets fouled twice in the lead up to this, and the United States, from back to front, 26 passes, or 26 or 27 passes leading to this goal. And Giovanni Reyna, Trivela goal. That is the goal of the tournament so far. I know there was a goal for Sweden that could be credited with that, but this goal from Giovanni Reyna, Trivela, in that moment, the final minute of the game, the build-up leading up to that. Again, 26 passes leading up to that goal. That is what we love to see. And Giovanni Reyna, the monkey lifted off his back for that goal, with all the stuff that was with him with the 2022 World Cup, with Greg Berhalter and all those different things. To see the whole team celebrate with him in the court, including Mauricio Pochettino, was just an insane thing to look at, and it just made you so proud. There were a lot of people going into this tournament like, oh, he's not playing at club level. Oh, Diego Luna is better than Giovanni Reyna, which, playing with Giovanni Reyna, I've said this 1,000 times, I will continue to say this, and this goal proves it. on natural talent and natural ability, he is one of the best players on this national team. It's hard to sit here and say Giovanni Reyna has really put a foot wrong with the national team, but when you're not playing at club level, it's hard to justify sometimes putting you in. But Maurizio Pochettino completely justified in bringing Giovanni Reyna into this squad with, again, the goal of the tournament so far. I know we just finished, we're just getting done with the first round of the FIFA World Cup, the first round of games, I guess you could say, but I loved it. Everything about this game was awesome. The aggressiveness, the fluidity. They never sat back. Like I remember against Iran, Christian Pulisic goes out at halftime in that game. He scores the goal right at the brink of halftime. And then Berhalter brings on pretty much every defender he has and Haji Wright and plays a 9-0-1 formation, just kind of welcomes pressure. And that's not how you win games. I know they won that game, but that's not how you go far in tournaments. And that passiveness and the Uruguay game and the Copa America where you're seeing him do this, that passiveness that you had from the national team at that point in time, the contemptness of the national team at that time, we did not see that in this game. And if they play like that for the rest of the tournament, they can go far. They can make some noise. And that made me so proud for everything that they've done up to this point. Like, again, it's the most fun I've ever had watching the United States game. Maybe the two BJ Callahan games could rival that. This game, man, it was just perfect. Everything that could have gone right, barring the set piece goal, everything that could have gone right went right for the national team. And you look at like the individual players, Chris Richards, 83 of 83 passing in this game, 100% completion percentage with his passes, the most completed passes with 100% completion percentage since I think 1966 or something like that. Like some of the stuff like that. And then you see like Alex Freeman putting in a good shift. Serginho Dest, he didn't have like an insane game or anything, but he just keeps driving at defenders. He's got such confidence in his abilities that sometimes, yes, he'll lose the ball, but he's trying things. So I'll never get mad at Serginho Dest for being aggressive, and that's what I love about him. And then you look at the midfield. Tyler Adams running all over the place, covering so much ground. Malik Tillman back there as well, and Weston McKennie stringing passes along. And then Pulisic for only a half. One of the best performances we've seen from Pulisic in some time now, and I hope that he's going to be fit for this game against Australia, but I don't want to push him if he's not. And then you look at Valerian Balogun, one of the best striker performances you'll see from a United States men's national team player in some time. Again, already top 5 of the United States men's national team history and goals scored at the World Cup. It's just insane. It's just insane. And as for the substitutes, you can't really write home about a lot of the substitutes. I don't think Sebastian Berhalter did much of anything. I kind of forgot he was on the field for portions of that game. Giovanni Reyna was only on for somewhere around 10 minutes. Maybe, I think it was like 15 minutes in total. And he got fouled twice prior to the goal and then scores the goal of the tournament so far. Timothy Weah was aggressive, driving down that right flank. But overall, again, this was just a great performance for the United States. I'm excited to see what they do against Australia, who are coming off a surprising 2-0 victory against Turkey. I didn't see this coming. I said it prior to the preview, or in the preview, sorry, that the World Cup preview, that Australia's no slouches, but they didn't really have the same talent that you've seen in previous World Cups where they can push on. Like, this is a group where there's no slouch in this group, but there's no, like, dominant team. And I thought Turkey, with the likes of Kenan Yildiz, who came out at halftime in this game, but as we've talked about, he did battle some injuries the back half of the season for Juventus, and Arda Güler, Hakan Çalhanoğlu. Like, there are some really talented players in and around this Turkey team, and he just didn't have those same guys for Australia, but Turkey just came to this game so overly confident, and Australia just absolutely exploited that. Like, you had Hakan Çalhanoğlu prior to the game starting said they would dominate the game. They're more technical than Australia. You had Arda Güler right before the game in the tunnel talking about how they're the better team and they're going to prove why in this game. And Australia just let them do whatever they want. They had about 75% possession in this game, and they took 30 shots in this game. Arda Güler was shoot on sight. 16 of their 30 shots were from outside the box, and Beach and net. It was only his third or fourth cap for the national team. Matthew Ryan got replaced in the national team. He's the captain of the team, but Beach goes in 23 years old, and they just had the idea that he's inexperienced, so we're just going to pepper him with shots. And they did, but not a lot of them were on target. I think they had only 8 shots on target, but he still made some very big saves in this game. Arda Güler did have some threat in this game from shots outside the box. It was just a really bold strategy from Turkey to be as aggressive as they were in regards to the talking before the game and the aggressiveness with their shooting, and it kind of was just a spray and pray. mentality, and they got found out completely on that first goal. Like, Arda Güler gets the shot off, Beach saves it, he gets it out quick, there's a beautiful ball played over the top to Irakunda, who just takes on their Turkey defenders and just uses his natural speed and athleticism to breeze past them and put the ball in the back, and then out of nothing, it was out of freaking nowhere, and they're already up 1-0. Turkey's just blitzing shots on target, or trying to get shots out on net, and then they just hit them on the counterattack. And that speed that they have, we brought Mohamed Toure before the tournament started, that speed and that aggressiveness. You saw Boss at left wing back. Their wing backs for Australia, they bomb forward. Metcalf at right midfield, they just bomb forward. And that aggressiveness from them had Turkey sitting way back. Like, they were giving him so much room. That Metcalf goal at the end of the game, they didn't address him at all. He had all space to work with, and just, he cuts in and just plays it on the ground past the goalie. Like, it was stuff like that. They just weren't, for all the talk that Turkey had going into this game, and about how they were going to dominate them. And Hakan Çalhanoğlu, to go after the game and sit there and actually go, oh, like, they ask him if they dominated, and he goes, well, did you see the stat? Look at the numbers. They completed 600 passes in this game. I think Australia only completed around 200. Like, they did dominate them. I guess if you want to be like that, yeah, I guess Turkey did dominate Australia in this game with the statistics. But the thing is, as the old saying goes, the game is not played on paper. If you just looked at paper and saw all the numbers in this game, you would go, oh yeah, Turkey dominated the game. You would go, oh yeah, they had 30 shots on net. I'm sure they had more than 8 on target. I'm sure they had more than 0 goals in this game, but they didn't. And that's the thing. Like, the game's not played on paper, and if you're not mentally prepared for the speed that Australia possesses, which personally I wasn't, you sit back as much as you did, you're just inviting yourself to more and more pressure, and then that's exactly what came with both these goals. Irakunda and Metcalf, both of their goals came on breaks, where Turkey's sitting back. They got burned on the first one from Irakunda, and then they sat back so much, and then you look at, like, as the game went on, after the Irakunda goal, they would never close down anything. Boss would go down that left flank, and they would just sit back the entire time. They would never address anything. So it was just a very interesting strategy from Turkey, from the shots to the how they played defensively, that just worked in the beautifully in the favor of Australia, and they exploited that. And Beach had a great performance. Absolutely great performance. For how many shots he faced with only 3 caps to his name, to put a performance like that was insanely impressive. Harry Sutar at the center back position, I should say, just an absolute man mountain. There's going to be some things the United States needs to be wary of in this game, like set piece again, big thing. How they close down Australia's speedy wingers and their striker in Toure is going to be something to look out for. And there's going to be some question marks around, like, Tim Ream. Is this a game where you slot in Austin Trusty at left center back? I understand Tim Ream's the captain of the United States, but is this a game where you see an Austin Trusty to add that more athleticism in there? Because we already know what we're going to get from Alex Freeman and Chris Richards. It's that left-sided spot that's going to be the massive question mark for the United States. And Australia, again, they can exploit that. If the United States does not close down on them, they will exploit that. And this is a very confident Australian team who's using anything and everything they can to motivate themselves. It doesn't take a lot to motivate this team, and I'm cautiously optimistic going into this game. I'm not gonna, again, I had them finishing last in the group, but that wasn't a big indictment on them, like they're this trash-ass team or anything like that. They were a good team, and if the United States is not careful, they're gonna make them pay. They can make them pay. The United States can hold the ball, and Australia works well with that. So it's just going to be an interesting thing of how the United States attacks them in this game. And no DeRosa stuff. No DeRosa stuff. So just go out there and do your best to win the damn game. But as for the starting lineup, we're going to have Matt Freese still in net. And this formation the United States runs, it's a very fluid system, as I've talked about 1,000 times before in this video. You look at the formation, you could call it a 3-4-3, you could call it a 3-4-2-1, you could call it a 4-3-3, you could call it a 4-2-3-1. The positions will all be the same in the same general area, but I think the best way to describe this formation for the United States, I don't know. It just varies. I'm going to stick with the formation-wise for the prediction as a 3-4-3 because it's that pentagon that we talked about before we'll go into that a little bit. But right center back, we're going to have Alex Freeman in there, keeping his spot, obviously. Chris Richards at center back, obviously. At that left center back, this is the spot that's going to be interesting. And this is where I could see the United States playing a more traditional back line with a back four to have Ante Robinson play closer, or whoever's at left wing back or left back. I haven't gotten to that part yet. But I do... Austin Trusty is what I would do, but I think Mauricio Pochettino will keep Tim Ream at that spot. And then at right wing back, I think it's still Sergiño Dest there. Midfield duo, I think it's still Tyler Adams at one spot, and then Malik Tillman at the other spot. Ante Robinson at that left wing back spot. Again, we're going to need to see him and Des tracking back, so maybe you could see a reality where Timothy Weah starts in this game. There's going to see, because Sergio Des don't like tracking back. He's not the greatest fan of tracking back. That's why Alex Freeman's so good at pushing over to allow Sergio Des to keep bombing forward. But then you look at the front three, Weston McKennie on that right side, and then that left side. This is where it gets interesting. I'm going to have Pulisic starting at that spot because I do think Christian Pulisic will be good enough to play. He's not training with the team. He's having modified training session. He had a calf sleeve on today. So there is going to be some concern going into this game, but I have a hard time believing that Christian Pulisic is going to miss the second game for the United States at the World Cup. I don't want to, again, like I've said before though, I don't want to push him. If he's not comfortable with it, then don't play him. And the starting spot opposite of Weston McKennie at that spot, or however you want to look at it, is definitely between Giovanni Reyna and Sebastian Berhalter. And if it is Sebastian Berhalter, that was a substitute for Pulisic in the game against Paraguay, then you would see Malik Tillman playing further up with Weston McKennie rather than that midfield spot. But I do think Mauricio Pochettino will stick with Pulisic there. And there's a striker, Valérien Balogun. Simple. He scored 2 goals in the opening game of the World Cup, had one of the best goals as well with that left-footed strike in the top bins and all that stuff. It's just fun. It's fun. It's a great feeling to have right now for the United States men's national team. I do think they could come out on top of this. I'm going to go with a 2. I'm going to go 2. I'll be boring. I'll go 2-1 again. I'm going to go, it's stupid not to say Balogun's going to score. It's stupid to not say Balogun. And then I'm going to have Chris Richards. He had a chance in this game against Paraguay where it went just wide. And I'm going to say Chris Richards gets on the score sheet here. And I'm going to say Harry Sutar scores for Australia from a set piece. So that is my prediction for this game. That's my starting lineup and all that stuff. So yeah, the big thing to watch out for is Christian Pulisic and what his health is looking like prior to this game against Australia, because man, the United States is going to need him long term for this tournament if they're going to make a run. So if he's not good to go, then don't risk him. But I obviously want to have Christian Pulisic play, because if he's playing like he did against Paraguay, then that's the best Christian Pulisic that we have. And if he continues to play like that, the United States can go far. But I loved, again, the performances from Weston McKennie, Malik Tillman, Valérien Balogun, Chris Richards. There's so much to be excited about for the rest of this World Cup, and I'm hoping that they continue to have that same fight and drive that we saw in that first game, in this game against Australia, because they're going to be motivated. Just be ready for those counterattacks, be ready for that speed, and if they're able to counteract that, then I think the United States could get, again, a 2-1 victory here. But that's all I've got for you today on this episode of the Logan Blackman Show. Again, make sure to check out all the links down in the description below, all the different links to social media accounts. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Again, here's the numbers, so make sure, again, to subscribe there. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, but if you didn't, I sincerely apologize. I will try to be better next time. Leave a comment down below on whether you loved the video, hated the video, what you liked the United States chances, what your thought of the game against Paraguay. Same with Australia, what you think their chances are, what you thought about their game against Turkey. World Cup thoughts in general, let me know. This World Cup's been awesome so far. I think my favorite thing is that all these stadiums are getting hyped up right now. Like MetLife Stadium's getting hyped up. Like everybody in America knows that stadium's a shithole. I think that's the funniest part about how that stadium's getting hyped. Like NRG Stadium in Houston is getting hyped up. Like no one respects these stadiums in America, but that's the nature of the beast right now. My favorite stadium at the World Cup is Arrowhead, or Kansas City Stadium. I don't know what they're calling it, but I just think that part's funny. But this World Cup's been a lot of fun. You got goals from Mbappe. Michael Olise was awesome against Senegal. You got Erling Haaland scoring 2 goals. Sweden 5-1 victors against Tunisia, who fired their manager. Hervé Renard comes in. Then you got Messi scoring a hat trick in Arrowhead. It's been fun. It's been an awesome World Cup so far, and it can only get better from here. So yeah, go USA. Beat Australia, and yeah, that's all I've got for you today. So make sure to do all the stuff I mentioned before. Subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you guys later. Peace.